Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again, I'm your host, Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-host Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, Christopher G. Mohr, and I will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we're reviewing The Kindred, out on VOD and on demand, starting January 7th, 2022. Let me introduce the crew, starting off with Jeff Mohr. Jeff, sir, how you doing?
I'm doing really good, and I just realized we did another film called Kindred, not The Kindred, about a year ago.
Oh.
I thought this sounded familiar.
I don't remember that, actually.
You would if you looked at the pictures. But
I'm like, they.
All right. Also joining me this week is Crystal Cleveland. How you doing, Crystal?
I'm great. I clearly have a very good memory, but I do have all my fingernails, so that's good.
Oh, yes, you do. All right. Also joining us, award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Mohr. How you doing, sir?
I'm disappointed. I thought I was watching the Rod Steiger version, but evidently not.
No. Rounding out the crew is the one and only Dave Dreher. Dave, how you doing, sir?
Hey, gang. How's everybody? Everybody good?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're good. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Like now I'm so confused. I'm like,
Wake up.
Wake up.
We got a movie to talk about.
All right. So what we're going to do tonight, folks, is we're going to give our first impression that will be spoiler-free, and then we're going to dive into a discussion. And when we do that, we will get into some spoilers, so be warned. And, of course, we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score, a 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. And, of course, we want to thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoy not only this review, but many other that we have on the site. Jeff, what are you doing? Counting your fingers? Of course, we want you to hit the subscribe button down below, hit the like button, share with a friend. That will do wonders for us, and it's all absolutely free. And, of course, we want to hear your comments down below, so leave them. All right, what film are we talking about? Well, we're talking about The Kindred, 2021 film being released by Vertical, in select theaters and on demand January 7th, 2022. Can you believe it, folks? It's 2022. Wow. Director Jamie Patterson, written by Christian J. Hearn. Cast includes, but it's not limited to, April Pearson, Blake Harrison, and James Cosmo. Synopsis: after her father's suicide, a young mother investigates what led to his death. But when she is haunted by spirits and unearths an unsolved mystery from 30 years ago, she discovers a dark family history that could prove deadly for her child.
no, that's fair.
Yes, that is fair. That's actually a fairly accurate synopsis. All right, Crystal, you're up first. What was your first impression of The Kindred?
Okay, so
yeah,
I want to like this movie, but there's I have a lot of issues with it. I mean, mainly that the story is ridiculous and it makes no sense and it's just silly. It's silly. I don't want to give anything away, but if you watch the trailer or whatever, it looks like it's going to be supernatural, and it could be. I don't know. I'm so confused. It's really, this whole movie is just fluff. It's almost like it wants to be a mystery, solving a mystery, but there really isn't any solving a mystery. It's just finding out new things. There's all the things that are supposed to be scares are not scary. Nothing is scary at all. Like, literally at all. Like, this girl crawls from under a bed, and I was like, oh, so spoopy. No, it's not. Like, it's really unfortunate. I will say it's shot well, and I feel like I didn't have any issues with the acting. I think everyone did a good job in their respective roles. I just think it's ridiculous. The whole story is just, it bothers me. The characters bother me. He's stupid. I just can't really get behind this film. I want to like it, but I didn't. Sorry.
Didn't like it. Mm-hmm. All right. Jeff Mohr, sir, you're up next. What was your first impression of The Kindred?
I liked it, and I thought it made perfect sense.
Derp.
And I didn't think it was silly.
And done.
I enjoyed the acting, and it's a mix of a bunch of things, and it's I should come up with a name for a subgenre of this, but it's the subgenre of, are they crazy or is it supernatural? And I think in this one there was a little bit of both, maybe, but I enjoyed it, and I got the mystery. I don't know, it was solved, and
It
Yeah.
was solved all right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
so the ending, I thought the ending was chilling. Was there any scares? I had one scene that I was like caught my breath just a bit. But,
Okay.
And there's also this idea of, so you're wondering if she's totally there or not. You know, she's been in a coma for a year. All right, that happens pretty quick, right? So I'm not giving too much away. And this little baby, she's left to care for this little baby pretty quickly, and she's obviously not quite there. And whenever she tries to tell somebody, I'm not quite there, they all just go, "Oh, don't worry about it. You know, it'll come to you." So anyway,
Nobody listens.
yeah, she's kind of pushed into this, you know, take care of this baby. So that's, to me, the tension in this was the baby. Was what's going to happen to the baby? Is she going to do something? What's going to happen? And then her trying to remember what the conversation was with her father and pursuing threads. So anyway, I enjoyed it, and I thought she did a great job. April Pearson, I thought, was excellent.
Yes.
And James Cosmo is always good. I think.
Yes. Yes. All right, Christopher G. Mohr, your first impressions, sir.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about this film. I think it's got an interesting idea, but the way it goes about it feels more like a TV movie than a movie. And I agree with Crystal. It's not scary. It's almost like somebody trying to be scary and not accomplishing it. I didn't connect with this film at all. I mean, I think that the acting's okay, and I think maybe it's because the people across the pond always deliver great performances, no matter what they're doing. Although I thought the motivations of the main woman didn't make sense. It's like, if I think I'm seeing ghosts, the first place I'm going to is detective. That's stupid. That's like just the most stupidest thing I've seen in a movie in a while. And, you know, I could see her issues, her trying to figure out stuff, the whole mystery behind it. I hated the ending. Thoroughly. So I disagree with Jeff. I just hated it. At the ending, I was like, why did I even watch this film? Because I think because I thought of a better ending than they did.
Which
would have been more emotional and would have been had a more emotional core to it. But I guess it all comes down to if what exactly is it? Is it mental? Is it is it supernatural? Just the supernatural aspects of it just felt like, oh, I've seen The Ring, so we're just going to throw creepy kids behind people every 5 seconds.
Yes,
or a really, really crappily done kid beating on a door thing. The scares, I think, didn't work at all. It just felt like somebody who doesn't understand how to create scares in a movie. I mean, it's competently done. It's got a great cast. It made me feel old because Patrick Bergin is in it. And if you remember from Sleeping with the Enemy with Julie Roberts, and now he's old. No, how dare people age? But overall, I thought the movie was kind of meh. I wanted kind of more out of it. I mean, you have the mystery aspect of it, which was kind of interesting by the end. But I think for me, I kind of wish that the supernatural aspect of it was pushed a little bit more at the end.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it would have made the ending perfection to me.
Yep.
Because the ending kind of defeats the whole purpose of me watching the film. That's just me. But I don't know. I thought it was okay, but I wanted more out of it.
Okay, that's fair. Dave Dreher, your first impression of the Kindred?
kind of a fragrant mix of all the aforementioned comments here.
Fragrant.
Yes, a
Fragrant.
fragrant mix. Yes. I agree with Crystal. This was not scary in any way, shape, or form. It's almost like they stuck the little ghost kitties in just because after they made the movie, they were like, this really don't work as a mystery. It's not really a drama. You know what? We'll put some dead kids in it. Now we can call it a horror movie. Because they almost seem out of place in a way. And I agree with Christopher. It kind of had a movie of the week feel to it, or like a Lifetime movie kind of thing. But I did. It was okay. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It kept my interest. I wanted to see where it was going to go. I thought it started off really strong with that opening scene because you didn't know if she was running away from being held captive or what was going on. And then, again, I don't know if we're in spoilers yet, but there's a thing that happens as she's standing on the street. You're just like, oh, holy shit, where are we going now? So it caught my interest right away. But it's not a bad movie, but it's not a horror movie.
All right. I totally bought into the supernatural. I thought this was, I thought it was a supernatural film that she basically was seeing all the ghosts, and the ghosts were leading her to this mystery. I never doubted that she was seeing the spirits. Everybody else in the movie was, but I totally was. I never doubted it. So to me, it was totally a ghost story from the get-go, kind of like The Changeling or something like that. But even that movie was far better. But I kind of enjoyed this. I got wrapped up into it. Our lead, April, who plays Helen, she's totally out of touch with everything, and we'll get into why in the spoilers. And then she knows something. Her father basically committed suicide, and that's the driving event of the story. It happens in the opening scene, so I'm not spoiling anything. But and she's trying to figure out why she can't remember. So she's what else do you need? So now she's going off and figuring out why, and she's got some spooky hands guiding her along and giving her clues. So I don't know. I was totally into it and really enjoyed it.
Okay, here's the thing about this movie. Like, it's
spoiler.
I totally agree with Christopher that it's like someone watched some horror movies and was like, okay, we're gonna have priests and psychics, and we're gonna have a mythical killer, some faceless man. We're gonna have ghost kids. We're gonna have the old detective that's gonna come back. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's like it's literally got all these different elements, and it's like they just had to just put it all in. And they're like, all this stuff we know works in horror movies, so we're gonna put it together, and then it's not gonna be scary at all because it's silly.
Is it a checklist? They just went through a checklist.
I feel like it. You don't, typically, come on. The priest, what's the deal? Come on, really? I think the idea of this freaking faceless man killer is brilliant. I think this could have gone in so many ways. I think it could have been really cool. I like the idea of her background and story, but everything that they did with her and her husband and all this stuff, I hated. All that could have been cut and remastered, and I think this could have been a really good movie. I think it would have been really cool to make this faceless man maybe actually some sort of supernatural killer. It still could have been her father, don't care, whatever, however they want to work that, but they missed the mark on this.
Instead we get Jason from Friday the 13th Part 2.
Well, that's that too. Exactly. Let's put that sack on and cut the whole. I know. I actually thought the same thing, Dave. I was like, but they really tried to create this legend around this killer, with the kids. Mm-hmm. Oh, they all know it's the faceless man. And I'm like, they tried to do too much in one movie. And all of it's just distracting.
And you have a missing kid and they don't search a shed. I don't understand. I mean, we're in Spoilerville, so let me just say, I think the whole point, I guess, if we're going the supernatural route, which it makes sense supernatural because they got that guy came in, the psychic guy. Psychic. Mm-hmm. So that makes sense that he tapped into it. So once she's done her part in revealing all this stuff, you think the dead kids would help save
exactly.
And the way it ended just it infuriated me. It infuriated me because it defeats the whole purpose. What is the purpose of this film? There's no purpose to this film because you just basically just. It's like you make a beautiful masterpiece and then you have diarrhea all over it. It just doesn't.
No,
you don't
No,
do
it's
that.
true.
You don't
It's
do
like,
that
why
at the
would
end.
they? Yeah, why would they bring up that whole sense of the father thing biblically and all this stuff, and then not actually?
I mean, I will say I do like. I mean, it is very. Also, it's very infuriating that these mysteries could have been solved because of that stupid priest. But
yeah.
But also that proves like, oh man, this is. How you have people that are supposed to take this stuff in confidence and they don't let people know something as horrendous as that.
They can't.
So I mean, that's a very interesting concept you don't see in very many films religion wise. So I thought that was kind of interesting, even though
it would have been better if they had focused on one or the other or whatever, though. Like these are just blips.
Well, that and you don't have that real connection between her and the priest to begin with. It's more like, here's a little bit of information, and then
some random neighbor dude too. Come on. I mean,
Well, she knew him. I mean,
no, she knew him, but then he's like, I don't remember any kids. Oh wait, yeah, I do remember you as a kid.
Well, this feels like mixtures of like a little bit of Don't Look Now, a little bit of Memento,
bad.
a little bit of Dead
So
Again,
bad.
all mixed together.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
exactly.
It's got some good elements to it. But the way that the stuff plays out just didn't click for me.
Because they tried to put it all in one movie, and they're like, we are going to make the ultimate horror movie. Because we're going to put everything that everyone finds good in horror movies, and then it's going to be a turd.
So you're saying it's by the numbers?
Yeah, I'm just...
You
sometimes
can't
you
use
have
Dave's word, Crystal.
You copyrighted that word.
It's poop. It's a poop. It's a big hunk of steaming dookie.
Dookie. Oh dear.
Yeah,
I don't think it is.
I'm just kidding.
I
It's
don't
not that
either.
bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
I thought.
I agree with what.
I was gonna say. I
agree
thought.
with
I was gonna say our lead, April Pearson. I thought she did a great job. I thought she really
I do
was
too.
a strong actress. Go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
Well, I agree with a couple of the things that, and I forget who said what, but the idea of at the end when they're looking for the baby, that was ridiculous. I'm immediately thinking you didn't like there was no urgency behind this search for the kid.
No,
Apparently they just walked around the house and went no.
Especially when there's a backstory about a shed, right? Because
Right,
kid got burned in a shed. So it's like, why don't you go to the shed first? You know that has a burn.
And then the
fire.
comment about her going to the cop, I that was really odd. It seemed like she would have gone to a therapist or a.
Or even
I
go
don't
to
know.
the.
I felt like she was
Yeah,
wanting
the priest would make
therapy
sense.
from the cop. Is this am I crazy or not? And he's like, yeah, you're crazy.
Well, yeah, because
No
all
ghost.
you're doing is just proving yourself wrong and making yourself
Look
possibly
bad.
lose your kid. So that'd be the last person I'd go to tell them, hey, I'm seeing dead kids.
But I think,
right?
but I thought there was plenty of motivation for the ending. I
did too.
I didn't feel
the ending
the same
didn't
way
bother
that
me at
you
all.
did.
Yeah, the ending. I thought the ending was actually quite clever. I enjoyed it.
There's nothing clever about that at all. I have to disagree.
I
but-
thought it was. I thought it was because it's a little ambiguous, sort of.
No,
No, okay.
It's not ambiguous.
it's not ambiguous. But I
it
thought
felt
there was
very
plenty of
70s,
reasons for
Was
her to
that
take that action.
I was gonna say it felt very 70s, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
it didn't bother me. I mean, the ending didn't bother me. I thought it was, it tied the ends up. I felt.
The ending didn't bother me only because it copied her
Her
father. Yeah.
Right.
So I get that. I mean, that was the least of my issues again with this movie. I was like, there's so much other stuff where I'm like, okay, I get
But,
you.
I mean, there's a number of scenes I really liked. I thought they nailed a couple. I had better time with the ghost, even though they,
I mean, there's a
visual effects
hanging
weren't that great.
ghost. It's ridiculous. One crawls from under the bed. I mean, it's silly. It's just silly. It's just silly. And They're worthless. They're just worthless ghosts anyway. They just do nothing.
They gave her a box.
One of them did, yes, and a lot of them, some of them,
Everything you need to know is right here in this box.
she didn't even see them. She didn't even see them. Like they're just there, and I'm like, that's not. This is. Just,
Yeah,
you
I
get one
thought
of
the
those.
girl at the door was freaky to me.
Yeah, that was freaky.
It looked kind
I thought that
of
was
fakish
good.
to me.
I
It looked like one of those Spirit Halloween projection things on the door.
Oh,
It didn't look real to me, and I think that's it looked fake. It looked like Scary Movie when they're doing like a scary girl or something behind them. None of it looked. And then they would just hit that dun-dun-dun. Oh, the scary girl's behind you again for the 10th time, and it's like, okay, we get it. There's dead, crazy children in this house, but then it did not work for me.
And here's the thing about serial killers. Typically, they focus on the same type of person. Wait, what? Yeah.
Are you speaking from experience?
Well, I'm just saying this is a thing. Like they focus on like he killed boys and girls. They were just happened to all be children. That's not very typical. I mean, it doesn't follow. And so I could buy that it was some sort of, I think it would have been cool if they had gone with some sort of supernatural thing. Because I loved when she confronts him and he says that they speak to him or something and they tell him to do, like, I kind of wish they had followed along those sorts of lines of, whatever, he's seeing some sort of weirdness. Because that's the only thing that would make sense. Like, they definitely have a type. Serial killers always have a type. And if you, all throughout history, it's just the way that it is. They follow a certain, doesn't mean that maybe once or twice they don't deviate, but that's typically because out of necessity more than desire.
Yeah. Opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Let's give our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. Who was first? Crystal, you're up first.
Okay, so I sound like I poo-pooed on this movie, and I did poo-poo on this movie.
You threw some. You were like a monkey throwing poop. Yep.
I'm like, it's like what? Okay, so it could be better. It could be better. That's all. I'm gonna give it a 2.75. Like
Okay.
that's pretty good. I think it was well made. I think that there's some clever concepts here. I think the acting was good. I just think that it could be so much more, and it needed to be more concise. And some of the things weren't fully developed. So my favorite scene is one of the scenes that literally makes no sense to me, but I don't care, and because I don't know why it happened. But obviously, it's the fingernail. Like I love.
I know that was weird.
They always mess with me, and see that's another thing. They're like, oh my god, fingernails really hurt. So this is what we're gonna do. She's gonna lose her fingernail. Why? I don't know. It doesn't matter why. We don't have to explain this. We're just going to do it. And you know what? I got a guy who can do a really good fingernail special effects. We're totally going to rock it. That's what happened.
Did they rock it?
Oh, it looked great. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. All right. Chancellor, you're up next. Your final thoughts, your score, and favorite scene.
Well,
can't do the fingernail.
I enjoyed it. And I thought it was well shot, well acted. The ghosts, I don't know. I bought the ghosts, I guess. I mean, it wasn't great digital effects, but it was
okay.
It worked for me anyway. The whole story about her father and the reveal with the relationships with this other character, I liked that. I enjoyed it, and it kept me interested and engaged. I'm giving this a 3.5.
Nice.
And I'm gonna pick for my favorite scene. I'm gonna say the appearance of how do I say this without when he walks out with a head apparatus.
Oh yes. Okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha. Very good. Nobody knows what you're saying, but I do. All right, Christopher G. Mohr, you're up next. Your final thoughts, your score, and your favorite scene.
Well, I mean, there's some stuff in here that had good opportunities to tell a better story, but it didn't work. And I none of the supernatural stuff really worked too well, at least with how they presented it. And I hate the ending with a passion. This yeah, the kindred.
Yeah.
The kindred is kindred.
Ah!
But
That's gonna go on the Blu-ray.
Yep.
But yeah, I had problems. I mean, I thought the acting is good. I mean, some of the shots look good. But at the same time, it feels like a TV movie. It doesn't feel. There's parts that don't feel cinematic. Yeah, the way some of the story things don't work, and then it just. I threw up my arms and started like, why?
Why?
There's a shed. Go look in it. So I will give it. I'll give it a 2.25.
Oh,
Better than I thought. Better than I thought you were going to do.
I think there's some parts that were kind of interesting. I mean, the serial killer aspect of it I thought was interesting, but it just doesn't work. Ending. That made me want to pull my fingernails out.
ba-dum-bum.
Let's see, a favorite scene.
Got to pick one.
I'll say if you want the supernatural wise, the scene where she's with the paranormal guy.
Okay, that works.
And there's this screamy thing that happens.
Oh yeah. I did like that. Yeah, that was
and
fun.
I say that was the one part. Like, okay, that works.
Mm-hmm.
Just the use of the sound design. You know, when he's like, you know, writing stuff down while that happens and stuff. I thought that was kind of unnerving, and that was the only really part that really brought the supernatural aspect of it. It was kind of creepy and weird. So I'll say that specific scene.
I like that.
That's a good
It's
one.
a good pick. It's a good pick. Dave Dreher, how you doing?
I am well.
All right, let's hear your thoughts, sir. What are your final thoughts, your score, and your favorite scene?
The horror just seemed kind of shoehorned in here. I kind of liked the storyline. I liked where they were heading. With her having the amnesia or whatever it is, coming out of the coma. I thought it worked well. It's kind of more of a mystery tale, but the horror just seemed misplaced for me. So, and that kind of took me out of the movie a little bit. But with that being said, I enjoyed it well enough. I'm going to give it a 2.5.
Okay.
It's an interesting watch, I think. Favorite scene, I think Christopher picked the best scene in the movie. But I think mine might be the same as Jess, but I don't know. His was so vague. I'm not 100% sure. But towards the end of the film, when the retired detective takes care of business.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I thought mainly because it just surprised me because it didn't look like that's where that scene was heading. I was just kind of like, oh, okay, well there you go. So I like that. Mainly, like I said, because it surprised me. Not that it was such a spectacular scene. It just was shocking. I wasn't anticipating it there.
It.
Yeah, and they built it up well enough. That,
Yeah.
it
So
did
that's
feel
good.
like
So,
it was
yeah,
outsourced.
not a bad movie. I think if you get the opportunity, you should check it out. Just don't be expecting a horror movie.
I thought you were going to pick the opening scene, Dave, from your opening.
I did like the opening scene.
I enjoyed this. I totally was into it being a supernatural film. Yeah, the special effects are subpar because they're all digital and they don't they don't bring anything new to the table. And I think Crystal, you took it a little bit further than I'm saying, and there's an argument there for you. And I'm not going to say it's not, but for me the pieces worked. I liked the storyline. I liked her, her coming out of a coma, and with two things. One, she lost her memory of that night, and then two, she has this psychic or supernatural connection. which she definitely has because of the scene you picked, Christopher. You know, she's tuned into it as well. So she's definitely has the supernatural connection to these ghosts, and she's seeing them. They're not in her mind, if we are to believe he's actually a paranormal investigator. So to me, it was. I liked where it's going. It felt like everything was built up to come to that conclusion, and I really dug the ending. I know that Christopher, you didn't, but to me, that seemed like the poetry of it all, to steal George Lucas a little bit. But it seemed to work for me. So I was going to give it 3 1/4. There we
Wow. I feel like I gave it a high score comparatively. So that's interesting. Yeah.
So 3 1/4 for me. And my favorite scene is going to be her late in the film when she finally stares into the mirror and conjures her father, if you will. And it kind of goes off that, that they're there to repeat the thing over and over again, and they illustrate that. And I liked how that was handled. You know, he just kept going to the, to jump over and over and over again. So I thought that was interesting.
Okay, here's the thing. Look, he's known the whole time that this has been the case with his brother, and yet he just decides now that he can't handle it anymore.
I think the brother had a lot to do with that, because the brother just recently found them, right?
Right. He was leaving messages on his phone that he wanted to come see him. Please let me come see you.
Yeah, he was guilty. I mean, he was feeling the guilt. It's not a great trait for somebody. I'm not saying that, but he basically.
No, I'm just saying
everything was unearthed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, it was okay until then, I guess. And then all of a sudden she's only now having the psychic stuff, I guess, because he killed himself, and now she's feeling his spirit.
Well, because she was in a coma for a year. That's what I
That's
gathered.
just, okay, yeah. See,
it's
more
a trope.
stupid.
It's
more
a trope.
more
not
stupid
more
stuff. Okay.
stupid.
Okay, just making sure that we're like,
Okay.
like on the same page here. I'm like, okay,
Check. Put it on the checklist.
Yeah.
You got to unfold the bottom, and you'll see.
I even gave it the higher score than most of y'all, so I'm like.
Did you give it a higher score than me?
I gave it a 2.75.
Should I have gone lower?
I gave it a 3 1/4. So.
No.
I'm confused.
I gave it higher than Christopher. Wait, what did you give it, Jeff? Oh wait, I think I gave it. Oh, see, I gave it higher than Jeff, and I think higher than Dave. So yeah.
No, 3.5.
Oh,
3.5.
Dave, what are you? So
I gave it a 2.5.
So I beat Dave and Christopher.
Yes, you're right in the middle.
I beat them. I won.
It is
I don't know if
a contest. It is a contest.
I don't know if that's a contest. You just
Five.
liked a little bit more. I think
I'm sure everybody's thrilled about this conversation. All right, guys. The Kindred is out on DVD and VOD, and so check it out from Vertical, and let us know what you think down below. Of course, January 7th is when it's headed out there. So, Christopher, Dave, Crystal, Jeff, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's say good night. A very supernatural good night.
Good night. I know. Yeah.
This is a better ending.
I asked for
Night.
that. All right, good night, everybody. Should I let this go on before everybody one more time?
Please end it now. End it now.